This is what I was talking about. This would be your 7 phases of the 1 second. This is what happens in 1 second. Now, we don't start here because if I started here, it would be very difficult to grasp this, because every time you start thinking about it, learning about it, or engaging with it, you think of all these things. Like already you're probably, your mind goes off. Wait, what about this? Because there's triggering associations. This is that pre-listening. This is the initial detection. This is the rapid appraisal. This is all that first 600 milliseconds right here. And then it hands off to the conscious mind. You have conscious engagement. And this pause that we put in here, that pause is less than a quarter of a second. But if you get triggered over here and you're reactive, you can't pause. People say, I tried to pause, but I can't. Yeah, they try to pause when they're already reacting. If you can redirect the reacting, then you can pause. And again, we condition it in, because what's a quarter of a second is not going to hurt you. But it can work wonders if you're recognizing in the conscious mind that what's coming across is a reaction and has nothing to do with what I'm dealing with right now. And then over here, that the 1 second mark. So you're not really extending it much. You're going from a reaction time that happens at a half second to maybe going to 3/4 of a second instead of a half second before you respond. But you also have the ability now, we've conditioned in that check to see, do I need to modulate my emotions? Am I in a productive emotional state to take action? And if you're not, that's where we take that next 60 seconds to 90 seconds, and eventually that will become a conditioned process as well. So this is what I'm talking about. Here's the 600 milliseconds. Like I said in the beginning, this first 2/10, perpetual question. Instead of am I safe, it could be something like, what's my best course of action? What else is involved? What's the analysis? What's the 2-axis framework I can draw? Whatever you can change your perpetual question to, so it's not priming you for what's bad, dangerous, or scary. Then in this one, you have this is where we use mainly a positivity exercise to train the subconscious to not bias towards risk or threat. We literally train it, because right now it's coming from the hunter-gatherer evolution. Think about it, hunter-gatherers, humans existed as hunter-gatherers for thousands and thousands of years. We've only been interacting with automobiles and things like that for a couple of centuries. That bias towards threat made sense for a hunter-gatherer. But you can't have a bias that every single impulse that comes in is threat, or you're going to be reacting and you're going to be getting triggered and you're going to be crashing out, as they say. So we retrain it. So instead of 80 or 90% of the stimuli coming through as potential threat, you'll see 10 or 20% come through as potential threat. And that's going to reduce greatly your cognitive narrowing and your seeing things as danger or threat. And then by the third 2/10, you have mobilization. Here's where it's best to have some kind of a pre-trained anchor, something where you can get right back to calm quickly, because you're losing the leverage. This thing is like an arc in terms of your effort. The amount of effort is very low over here. It starts to rise, and then by the time you get to the conscious mind side, effort is very high. Your influence is very high over here, and it starts to drop. And then by the time you get to the conscious mind side, it drops drastically. And here you want to catch it with an anchor, pre-trained. Breathing helps here and here, especially if you practice box breathing. And then when you feel that sensation coming up, just take an inhale, a 1 or 2 second inhale and a slow exhale. And that'll give you, it forces that pause. It literally forces the pause with breathing. But if you wait until you're reacting to practice this and put it in place, it's not going to happen. We need to condition these things in so it's happening before you're aware. By the time you're aware that the sensation is happening, it's often too late. You want the same system that's signaling to be the system that does the correcting. So here's the first 600 milliseconds. This is where leadership leverage is the greatest, the pre-listening phase and subconscious prediction. So you have high impact, low effort, and then the late phase in conscious mind is high effort, low impact. This is what we're doing. This is where dynamic leadership lives. It lives up here. So it's taking the research that we have from emotional intelligence and from self-determination theory and books like Multipliers and Good to Great and Great by Choice and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and we're automating it. We're automating the best practices to become habits using neuroplasticity. Rapid self-recovery requires early detection in yourself and others, and it prevents reactions from becoming culture. You'll see those, and you won't wait anymore. Once you understand and have experienced this, you won't wait to deal with things that come up.